What's good, y'all? DP, two peas in a bong, back in the building. I had to circle back. I forgot to address something in the last live session I just had, and I'm gonna do this now before I forget. And if you don't catch it live, it's all good. Hopefully, we can get your responses later. Um, I'll break it down and try to post it as a shorter form video and see if we can get folks to respond to it later. But I wanted to talk about the with Deion Sanders and his sons. You know, he's coached his sons from youth all the way up to college. At this point, they are now departing, both of them, Shedeur and Shiloh. Um, and well, I know he has another son, but I'm speaking of the ones who are actually playing football. So the two that he has coached, Shedeur and Shiloh, are leaving Colorado. They're off to the NFL, hopefully bigger and better things. Do you guys think that Deion Sanders will stay in Colorado for a while? Do you think he'll end up trying to go to the pros? We're already talking about this, but one of the things that I saw, shout out to $1 million worth of game. I saw one of their interview, their recent interview with Deion Sanders leading up to the draft, and there was a portion of it that I wanted to
And
kind of
I'm
run by
seeing
here.
from the beginning of coaching my babies to the last walk in the end. You know how painful that is, man? To see that this is it.
Mm-hmm.
This may be it. And let me say this before y'all jump to it, because I know y'all gonna jump to it. The only way I would consider continuing is that
And continuing, I'm assuming he's talking about continuing to coach them, and that would be at this point in the NFL because they've moved on. So if the only way he would consider coaching them in the NFL at this point.
I'm coaching my sons, plural,
Mm.
not singularly, plural. Or I wouldn't even think about it because I love Colorado. I love everything I do. And everybody, well, what would you do? Well, I have to think about it if I get to coach both of them.
Right.
I'm not following them, and it couldn't be like that unless I'm there prior.
Right.
But if I'm there prior, how can that happen? So it could really never happen.
Right.
But you got to think about it logically as a father. Shoot,
Yeah, to coach your boys.
I've always that's all I know.
Right.
Yeah.
So his boys are gone now. His boys are gone. So how long will Coach Prime stay in Colorado? I think if he chooses to stay, he can do some great things there, right? Um, that level of football is kind of turning into a professional level with the NIL and the portal and the way things are handled with all of that stuff, and kids having NIL agents and all of that. So it's not the same college that it used to be, the same college style of football that it used to be. It's almost like professional, or definitely semi-pro in terms of the way they're getting paid. And actually, you will see, and we have talked about this also. You will see more players staying in college for the full 4 years. And once the rule is passed to where they have 5 years, you'll see people playing for 5 years on a consistent basis, because especially those who are projected to be drafted late or those who are projected to be undrafted free agents, they'll stay and get the NIL money, because in some cases that NIL money is more than what they would be getting paid on rookie deals when they're drafted in the later rounds, or more than they would be getting paid on these undrafted free agent deals when they don't get drafted. Because right now, I believe the minimum The league minimum is $840,000. Kids are getting paid more than that to play college football. So, will Coach Prime stay in Colorado? I mean, who knows? I think he could do big things there. It would be, I'm not going to say it's out of the realm of possibilities for him to become a head coach and have both of his sons on the roster. That's definitely possible. But I don't see it at this point. I think he'll do big things in Colorado if he chooses to stay there, or the college level if he chooses to go elsewhere. But I don't think that he'll be making the jump to the pros with his son, at least, or sons rather, at least, no time soon. Not the next 1 or 2 years. I still see him staying at the college level, but I could be wrong, y'all. But I just wanted to get back on here and get that out here and get y'all's opinion. So if you don't catch it live, catch it on the replay and let us know in the comments what you think. Will Colorado, or do you think he'll be looking to find his way to the pros along with his sons sometime soon? So, all right, y'all. I see a couple people have jumped in here. I don't know if you heard exactly what I was talking about. I was just talking about whether Coach Prime will stay with Colorado, or do you think that now that his sons are gone, that he will end up trying to find his way to the pros as well? I know they had said, there was some talk about him interviewing for the Cowboys position, but I don't. That may have been just some sort of an informal situation. I don't think that was something that actually formally happened. So yeah, until I see something, as they say, until it's on wax or until it's a formal thing, I think he'll be in Colorado or maybe a better college opportunity. But I think he's still he's one of the coaches who can still connect with the youth. And I think that's one of the things that's on his side is his sons. You know, when you have children, they keep you young. Like my kids keep me young. They say things that I may have never known about, like the language and the way they do things now is not the way that I did when I was a kid. The same way how, your parents and grandparents were looking at you crazy, based on the music you listen to and the clothes you wear and the stuff that you watch on TV. When you have a kid, you see those things. You're buying the clothes that they wear. You're hearing the music they listen to. You hear the stuff that they say. They kind of keep you young, right? Or keep you in tune with what's going on with young folks. And I think that that's exactly what happened with Deion Sanders and his children. And he's able to connect to the youth. And then you have him, he's a person who has done it before, right? He's gone on and made it all the way to the pros, not in just one sport, baseball too. So he can impart, knowledge, experience, and all those things onto these kids and still connect with them, right? I think they still connect with Prime. He's not an outdated coach. He's not a super old-fashioned guy who, you know, can't connect with these kids, because now that's a real thing. If you can't, this is a new breed of children, and the kids the players that are going into the pros are a new breed of professionals. They're coming into the pros having money, right? They're coming into the pros different, and that's just, it's not the same as it used to be. And if you can't keep up with the times, you're going to lose out on players, and that's just going to be it. Dizzle, what's up, Dizzle? Dizzle in the building. Hey, yo, Dizzle, before I answer this question, man, your squad came through, man. I'm actually rooting for him. I want Detroit to go ahead and take care of business, man. I think they got robbed. So he said, out of curiosity, are we assuming Colorado keeps him after 1 to 2 years? I mean, if he couldn't get an old line coach for his son when they had Travis, who they got coming? Um, you know what, man? I don't know. And again, that year, last year, was his second year with the program, right? And I know I'm not really using that as an excuse. I'm just saying it does take time to turn programs around. I think he has the ability and the connections to do that. But in 2 years, I wouldn't say that he's failed at Colorado, would you? Um, I think that he can do it if he has the opportunity to, which he does there in Colorado. He's had some success. Obviously, he has to get a new quarterback, and yes, beef up his old line, improve some things. But I think he can have success there. And then just given his track record in coaching, he may get another college opportunity, at a different university. That's also a possibility. But if he stays there, I think it's his choice, Dizzle, is what I'm saying. I think it's Prime's choice as to whether he wants to be in Colorado or not. And if he chooses to stay there, I think that he can get it done. Um so yeah, but yeah, man, I hope I see you say you hope they pull it out. I hope Detroit does too, man. I'm That's actually become one of my actually my favorite series out of the ones that are going on right now. My squad just got smacked, the Clippers, which I was telling KP and Bong yesterday. I think you were on when we were talking about it. I don't know if you heard, but yeah, I didn't expect them to win this game, and they didn't. Um, but Detroit, they should be up 3-2. They should be up 3-2 going back to the crib, and New York should be scrambling trying to figure out a way they're gonna push it to a game 7. So that's just my take. I think they got robbed. But yeah, Dizzle. Uh, okay, let me see what you got here. No, I wouldn't say he has failed. I would question the quality of star recruits he can get. For example, when Harbaugh came to Michigan, we instantly what'd you say? We instantly say us get recruits. We never okay. Y'all instantly got recruits that you never got before. He didn't win. Okay. Um, I would say I think he's gonna be able to get the recruits, right? Um, you say, but we did notice he was getting 4 stars, then eventually got 5-star recruits, then he put it together. Um, yeah, saw y'all get recruits you never had before. Got you. Um, I think listen, I think he could turn some of those 5 stars with the right coaching if you get 4 stars. Um, even three with the right coaching, you can find ways to be competitive. Like obviously you got to keep up with recruiting and winning the some of these big time recruits, but that's when NIL and all that stuff comes into play. Like I don't know what kind of NIL packages Colorado is putting together for these kids. I would assume that over with y'all in Michigan, since you said I would assume that Michigan has, you know, some hefty NIL packages that they can put together for these kids. So they'll I don't think it's just the fact that it was hardball, is that money's gonna be talking too. And you did see the drop when hardball left. So I mean, what's your take on that? And let me ask you this, Dizzle. Would you like Coach Prime to be the coach in Michigan? Would you roll with that? Y'all flip Bryce under? Yeah. Yeah. But again, I'm saying I'm saying that Prime can flip some of those kids, right? Even if it's not all 5 stars, like 4 stars, 4 stars can be competitive. 3 and 4 stars can be competitive. You can find some diamonds in the rough and all that kind of stuff. And Michigan, the thing with Michigan too is like you guys have the history. So it's more of an attractive situation. Like players are going to gravitate to a squad like that, right? If they have the opportunity to play there. Um, like it's the same thing we talk about in basketball when we're talking about the blue bloods. We were talking about the North Carolinas and Dukes and all those kind of Kentucky's. Like if you have those teams and they can give you the money, like that's where the kids are gonna go, right? Also, you're not a believer in you're not a believer in Prime as a coach. What what's your hang up with his coaching scheme or strategy? Do you think that he is a like more of a managing type coach and he puts the people in place to do what he know they can do best? Sort of like he's not the mastermind OC, so it's not his plays are being called, or he's not the mastermind DC, so it's not his actual plays that are being called. He's leaving that to his DC, his OC, and he's kind of overseeing it. Like what do you think? What do you think the shortcoming is if you're not a believer? And I think like I said, I think he'll be in Colorado unless he takes another opportunity with another university. I don't see him going to the pros. That's just my take. Um, okay, so you do believe he's the mastermind, which is a skill in itself. That isn't easy. He can do that well. Okay, I'm waiting for the but because you said you ain't a believer, so I know something else is coming, right? But you put him in a place like a Michigan. I think he does well there. You say you're not a believer, but I think he does well in Michigan. You put him in Florida State, his alma mater. I think he does well there. And they're struggling. But you put him back there in Florida State where he played. Oh, that'd probably be crazy. You say you haven't seen enough, no difference in quality of players, which is number one. I mean, but Dizzle, it's 2 years too, though, right? We know and respect Prime. All of us older cats never heard of kids giving him that respect. I think he can still connect to kids though. And that's what I was saying earlier, right? Like if you were to look at, let's say, like a Nick Saban, and this is just in terms of connecting to kids of today. I don't want people to start saying, "Oh, you can't be comparing them to Nick Saban. Nick Saban's a national championship coach and all this." I'm saying specifically, and being able to connect to kids and get that respect. I think he can do that more so than some of these other guys. And I was saying the fact that him with his kids, coaching his children and having his children around, kids keep you young and keep you in tune with younger kids. The real test will be now that his sons are gone, what does he do when it's a quarterback that's not his son? What is he going to do with uh players who, they're just kids he's recruited, no relation, since people are saying it's daddy ball and all of that kind of stuff. Hey, his kids are gone. So if he has success this upcoming year in Colorado, what are we going to say about that? Is he going to get his props at that point, or will it be, folks will be saying something else? I would agree, but they have proven track records. Who has proven track records? And yeah, Dizzle, this is the test. This is the test. Like if he does well, no Shedeur, no Shiloh, Nobody can talk about his daddy ball and all of that kind of stuff. Um, if they do well, you know, what will the people say? And I'm not calling you a hater. What will his haters say at that point? You know they're gonna find something to say. But this is the test. And I think they'll, I really gotta see how it shakes up because it's a lot of moving and shaking with football. I think they have K KP was talking about their transfer portal situation because basketball is crazy, but I know football, they transfer early, then they can transfer late. Um, Now we're in the phase of where they have spring games and stuff like that. I don't know if kids are able to transfer out after spring games and all of that. So, when you know who's on the roster, at that point you can really start saying what you really think a team is going to do. Um, let's see. I will give him props if that is the case. Him winning this year, the proven track records are the other older white coaches you named. Okay, and people respect winning more than anything. Yeah, okay, but my point in I was saying that in regard to, I think you said something about the young kids. You never heard of kids giving him that respect, like you were saying that we do, because we've seen him play and we know what he did and all of that kind of stuff. But you never hear the kids giving him that respect. Maybe I misunderstood that, but I think that's what you were saying. But I was saying that I think he can still connect to them more so than some of these other coaches can. I really do. I think he's more in tune with the younger generation than some of the other older guys who may have already experienced more success before things were the way they are now, in terms of like NIL and kids walking in the door with bread and having money and already, being treated like professional athletes and having the money to go along with it. Because again, let's keep it real. Some of these kids are getting paid more than some of these pro players with this NIL and stuff. So yeah, and you said that's what you meant. That's what I really think, like, and that's why I said I wanted to really uh make it clear that I'm not comparing his coaching uh acumen or even his accolades and all of that stuff to a Nick Saban. I'm just comparing it to being able to connect with children. You see, Nick Saban got up out of there. Nick Saban is like, he didn't really want nothing to do with the way this is with the NIL and all of that stuff. But it seemed like, Deion Sanders, this is probably right up his alley. He can handle this. He can, you know, he knows what it is to come from tough neighborhoods, and he can relate to kids with different struggles and all of that kind of stuff. Like he's a relatable guy, I think, with these kids. And I think that'll go a long way. Whereas you have someone who's used to, maybe like and that's not to say that he's not tough on the kids, but I'm saying somebody who's like used to a hard nosed way and is upset because kids are getting money now. I don't think you see uh, you know, Deion Sanders mad about that. He's probably happy these kids are getting paid and having an opportunity to get paid in college while they're playing. But you have coaches who are pissed about that. Wasn't it the coach at Syracuse who were saying he ain't paying no wide receiver $2 million to play, right? But those who were keeping up with the times are like, listen, this is the way it is, and if you're trying to win, you gotta roll with this NIL stuff. You say, yeah, and personally, I don't think the fact that he can connect more with these kids is determining factor. If I could go to LSU and they offer me $2 million and Colorado for $2 million, I'm choosing. Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. You know, if you are able to go to, like I say, that's why I said the blue bloods. That's why I use that example. If you can go to a blue blood um in basketball, like a Kentucky or Arkansas, not a Arkansas, a Kentucky or a Duke, um, or a North Carolina, and any other school that you would think that has like the history of winning, that's been a winning program, then you would say, I'm going to go to Kentucky. There. That's why I use your example of Michigan. You would say they would go to Michigan, right? They would say, man, fuck that. I'm going to Michigan. Michigan has history. Michigan is a winning program. Yes, they will choose Michigan over Colorado. But I'm saying when it comes down to flipping recruits, right? Sometimes he may do that more so than others if the vibe in the connection is right. Like I think sometimes that's going to factor into the decision some of these kids will make. If the money is the same, some of them will flip, but some of them will, and I think most of them will, like you're saying, most of them are going to choose LSU. I do believe that's true, but I don't think all of them will. And in the cases that some are on the fence, I think he has a better chance of flipping them than others, and that's why I'm bringing up the point of being able to connect with the kids. What's going on, engineer in the building? And you're right. Again, Dizzle, I just want to close. You're right because LSU is winning, right? And if Colorado starts winning, what will you say at that point? And that's why I say, like we both agreed that this is the test. If Colorado starts winning, then it's a different story. Engineer, you in the building. Do you think Deion Sanders will stay in Colorado? Or do you think he's gonna try to go follow his sons to the pros? Or, you know, end up going to another school? Let me know what you think. Um Earlier I said I think he'll be in Colorado for another couple years, and unless a better college opportunity comes up, but I don't necessarily see him jumping to the pros. You say he'll stay wherever he gets paid? Yeah, yeah. He can get paid in the pros, but I think college is a good fit for him. I think he can do great things in Colorado with if given some time. Like so far, to me, so far it's been a cool situation. I wouldn't, like I said earlier, I wouldn't say that he's failed at Colorado. I think he's done well. Um, and they weren't doing anything before he got there. But again, the real test will be now that his sons have moved on. It will be what he does with the program this upcoming year. Um, and what happens this upcoming year, I think will determine whether he ends up staying there also, or whether he ends up looking for another destination. But engineer, I was also saying that if he went to Florida State, like that would be crazy. Now I think he could do big things at Florida State. Especially, they weren't doing the best either. So but yeah, I mean Dizzle brought up some great points, man. Like I can't even argue. Like uh it's more about winning in a lot of situations, but uh it's becoming a lot about money too. While engineer just said wherever he'll stay, that prime will stay wherever he's paid. These kids are going to start going to wherever they get in the bag too, and that may not always be the winning program, because that winning program can only pay so many of them. So there will be some spillover to some of these other programs. So um an engineer, you say you can't imagine the Browns want him in the building. And maybe not necessarily the Browns, right? But I mean just being on a professional level where you can make some things happen, find a good spot, good fit for you, and then if you're really willing to make moves and you're in a position where you can make the moves to trade for your kids, maybe that's something he would do, you know. Um, but he mentioned again, he said he would only coach uh the pros if he could coach both of his sons. So, you know, and who is this Dolphin Sonar Intelligence? Let's see. Imagine standing in line waiting to join a satanic order. Shedeur, real fool. I don't know what you mean by that, man. Let me know. Um, no false light detect. Okay, I mean, are you so you're down with Cam Ward? You down? You feel like Cam Ward was the better quarterback out of the out of Shedeur and Cam Ward? An engineer says, let's see. Yeah, I understand the whole appeal of bringing a program up, but sometimes you got to understand certain institutions have limitations. Absolutely. So, engineer, I agree with you. And those limitations, obviously, I'm saying there's more of those in Colorado than what Dizzle threw out earlier than Michigan. There are more limitations on a program like Colorado than there are at Michigan. There's more limitations at Colorado than there are at Alabama. Let's start naming schools: Georgia, USC, like LSU. You know, those are some of the powerhouses that traditionally kids want to go to. It ain't Colorado. And especially when we're talking about NIL money, right? Because that's a big factor. Colorado don't have as much money as some of these other schools. They don't. Colorado doesn't have the appeal as some of the other schools. So does he have more limitations? Yeah, he has more limitations. I mean, he had limitations at Jackson State also, and he did well there within the confines of what was there with that program and the SWAC, and he made them one of the better programs while he was there. I think he's turning Colorado around with the limitations that he has. And again, what will happen now that he no longer has Shedeur and Shiloh and Travis Hunter? Like, what's going to happen now? You got to recruit. You not to say that he hasn't done that already, but I think he's going to do well, man. I think he'll be all right. I think he's going to do well. Um, but I do get your point, man. I do get exactly what you're saying. There's limitations, but I would ask you, um, do you think this upcoming season Colorado will have a winning season? I know it's early. I know it's tough to call without knowing the roster, but do you think they will build on the success that they already have, or you think it's going to be like a take a step back kind of thing? And then I don't know if you saw the thumbnail engineer, or I see there's some other folks in here. I don't know if you guys saw the thumbnail. Did anybody see um Cris Carter's did anybody see Cris Carter's comments on the Shedeur Sanders situation? I know, engineer. I see. I got the hams. I don't know what's going on, y'all. Excuse my connection is tripping. Um, But did anybody see the Cris Carter comments about the Shedeur Sanders situation in the draft? Dizzle, if that yes sir is to that, what was your take on that, man? I gave my thoughts earlier in the earlier live. I don't know if anybody caught that, but you know, and hopefully I'm not butchering this. Rabi Jabbar or Jabbar. Hopefully I'm not butchering that, but you say, yeah, that was crazy. I'm assuming you saw it. Um, Engineer, you didn't see it. So basically, Cris Carter was saying there's a few things he was saying. He said a lot of stuff happened, but he didn't think that there was collusion. Number one. And he's saying that they overplayed their hand, that Shedeur and Deion Sanders overplayed their hand. It was not that they were not in the same what he called evaluation mode as Eli Manning and the Mannings were at the time when he declined to go to San Diego. And he said a couple things happened that worked against Shedeur, that he didn't participate in the combine when he thought he should have, as far as the drills and everything. He said spoke about like a failed attempt to narrow down the teams, as far as where he would go, and that there was talk about him not doing well in interviews and all of that stuff. So Dizzle, you said you agree with him. Okay, all right, and then this is true. Engineer says, I mean, the Ravens took a man with 2 sexual assault cases pending in the second round. Very true. One of the things you say if you're good, they'll look past the bullshit. Okay. Here's the thing. Dizzle, you said you agree with him. Engineer, you're saying if you're good, they'll look past the bullshit. So Cris Carter said all of that stuff, but then when he was asked about Shedeur's tape, his co-host said, well, what about his tape? Does his tape show that he should have been drafted earlier? And Cris Carter said his tape shows that he should have been drafted that he could have been drafted in the first round, that he has first round talent. So, Engineer, that speaks to your if you're good, they'll look past the bullshit. But the second part that I'm asking is, what's the bullshit? Because Shedeur don't have no sexual assault cases pending. He don't have no problems off the field. He's not getting into trouble. So what's the bullshit that he really has? Like, he's making music and wearing chains. You think that's bullshit? Like he's kind of cocky. You think is that what it is? Like, I mean, let me know something. Because I mean, sexual assaults versus what? Versus somebody being cocky, and you're admitting in the same breath you have all these critiques about what was done wrong. He should have done this. This was done wrong. This was done wrong. But then you turn around and you say that, but his tape shows he has first round talent. Okay, Engineer, you say then they probably just don't think highly of him in terms of what? It's a personal thing at that point to me. It's not about your skill. When everybody cuts on your tape, they say, man, okay, he's getting it done. Then what's the issue? It ain't on the field. And what are his tangibles? I mean, he may not have the strongest arm. He may not be the tallest. He's not, 6'6" with a cannon or anything like that. He's accurate. He's shown that. He's shown that he could, he's a winner. Like the tape is showing that he can play. So if we're saying if you're good enough, and even in Cris Carter's, because I specifically was talking about Cris Carter because that's what I watched. That's what I saw. So I was like, yo, okay, I feel you, Cris Carter. If you think he should have done things differently leading up to the draft, That's, you're well within your right to say that. You were a football player, you've been through the process, you have more insight as to what has happened. But when you turn around and say that his tape shows that he's a first round talent, what's the problem then? All of the lead up to the draft, that's so then he's not good enough? I'm wondering. So all the QPs taken in the first round typically have great tangibles. Usually that translates to the NFL, but who knows? I agree with you, engineer. Here's the thing though. If we are talking about this draft, would you say this is one of the stronger drafts that you've seen in, I would say, the last 5 years? Would you say that the pool of quarterbacks was one of the stronger ones that you've seen in the last 5 years? Like if we're talking typically, correct. But in this draft, nobody was raving about anybody like that except for the first three guys who were taken. They were saying Cam Ward's legit. They were saying, Abdul Carter, and they were saying Travis Hunter. Once you got past those three, it was, hey, it's a deep running back pool. We'll see who gets taken first. Ashton, Genty went first, but then they were saying there's a lot of running backs in here. They can be taken, you know, so forth and so on. But it wasn't like, oh man, people are clamoring to get in the top 5 because they got to get this guy. You had people trading out. The Browns traded out, right? So I'm just like, if the draft isn't one of the strongest ones you're talking about, but you are saying that Shedeur Sanders is 1 or 2, and if you like Jackson Dart, okay, now he's 3. But to drop all the way down to the 5th round, it sounds more like a personal thing, And a lot of people were talking about that, it is what it is, like, you know. And like I say, at this point, um, all Shedeur can do at this point is just get busy, right? Go to the Browns and get busy. Let's see. Shedeur starting by game 4. Flacco too old. Pickett first round bust. Watson out for season. Gabriel mediocre at best and not top 5 rated quarterback. Legendary perfect time. So, I mean, it sounds like you're a Shedeur fan, and let me know if I'm correct in that. But I don't disagree with you. I actually said this earlier. I was breaking it down. I asked who would be the starter, and does Shedeur Sanders have a legitimate shot at actually ending up being the starter? Because Pickett, he would definitely have to show you something that he hasn't shown already, right? This is his 3rd team now, so I don't think they look at him as this is our starter for the foreseeable future. Flacco, I don't think they look at him like that either. Flacco's, older, like you said, later stages of his career. I think they have him there to be that veteran presence that kind of helps with grooming the younger quarterbacks, and capable to put him in there if need be to kind of get you through a few games, right? He's shown that he still has the capability to win a game or two if you're in a pinch. I think that's how they look at Flacco. So it comes down to what I was saying at first. Maybe they'll roll out Flacco or Pickett just for the sake of they're the vets, right? And then it would be out of Gabriel and Shedeur to see who actually gets the 3rd spot as the quarterback on the actual active roster, and then the other one is going to be put on the practice squad. Now, that quarterback who gets that 3rd spot on the active roster has a legitimate shot at starting, definitely. Whichever of the two, Gabriel or Shedeur, whichever of the two makes the active roster, hey man, I wouldn't be surprised if by, game 4 or mid-season, they're looking to turn it over to them to like really see what they have in them. Or it could be a case where, you know, they decide, okay, Pickett, these guys are just as good as you. We're keeping Flacco on the roster because he's more proven than you are, and we're going to roll with the two rookies. Hey, Flacco, you started off, and then whichever rookie comes along and shows more promise and more progression, that's the guy who's going to get the shot at, going out to start first. So I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a bad spot for Shedeur Sanders. I think he could actually make it happen. And I see you, man. I see you going to buy that jersey soon. Okay. All right. Well, you know, go on ahead and subscribe, man. And when you come back, let me know when you got it. All right. I ain't mad at you for buying it, man. I actually hope he does well, man. Um, and then Flacco is the mentor. You're saying engineer. I agree. That's exactly what I think it is. And in a situation where you're bringing in rookie quarterbacks, I think that's an invaluable asset. You know what I'm saying? Like you have somebody who can show them the ropes. I was saying earlier, professionalism, preparation, all those kind of things. Like he can show them the ropes, and can also, get out there and play a half or two, and maybe surprise you and win a game here and there. But the Browns for sure, like I was saying, I think it's more of a rebuild situation for them. Like, you know, Myles Garrett, yes, they locked him in, but on the other side of the ball, they have some things to figure out. And at the most important position on that field, they have to determine, what's going to happen. Um, I said that this might be the Browns might be the best situation for a Hard Knocks, right? Um, and let them have a shared practice with the Bucks or something, so you can have both brothers in the building. But all the jokes aside, the Browns would probably be a really good fit for a Hard Knocks situation. Um, that's definitely something folks would tune into. Um, so we say nobody had Gabriel on the draft mock, and he was a Heisman Trophy candidate. Nobody was talking about the kid. He just popped up. Um, you know what? I wouldn't say that he just popped up. I think they knew about him and who he was. I mean, the dude has been in college for a long time, dog. I think he has the most starts in college history, right? Um, and yo, I appreciate the sub, man. No doubt, much appreciated, dog. Really rock with us. Just to let you know, and I'm gonna get back to that the situation about Gabriel. Just to let you know, I'm one of 3 on here. So usually it's 3 of us, 2 P's in a bong. So I'm DP, you'll have KP and bong. So we normally go on live um on we were doing it Sundays, but Monday seems to be working out better. So Monday nights we usually go live. If you don't catch us on the live, man, catch the rewatch. We'll be dropping like shorts and shorter segments and stuff too that you could comment on. We talk back in the comments, all that stuff. So we try to make it interactive and all that, man. Um so when you comment, we talk back. As you can see, this is more of like you're involved. I'm not just gonna be on here bumping my gums and not taking what you guys say into consideration. But so back to the Gabriel thing, I just wanted to say this real quick. Um, Engineer said something earlier about the what are the tangibles, and Gabriel's a guy who he's not really super tall, not really super big, nothing is wowing you. He makes plays, kind of savvy. I think his pops played for Hawaii or one he was a quarterback. Um, so he's got that kind of like pedigree, and he makes really quick decisions. Like if you see him play, like he's making a quick decision. But I don't know how that would work once you get to the pros, because if you're doing like one read quick decisions, it ain't gonna always be open in the NFL because dudes are faster, stronger. They're reading routes. They pretty much have seen it all, so they know what's coming. So you're gonna have to go through progressions. And that would go for Shedeur and any other rookie quarterback. Cam Ward too. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, they knew about Gabriel, but I don't think he was one of the guys who was on the top of the draft boards. So in the sense of he just popped up and was drafted before Shedeur, yes. I don't think people expected that to happen, but was he around like maybe 5th round? Yeah. But did you expect Shedeur to be around 5th round? You know what I'm saying? Just saying. Um, Dolphin, I see you, man. I just, I see your opinion. I don't know what you want me to say, dog. Um, I get what you're saying in terms of who Shedeur is hanging with and stuff like that. Uh, but I mean, what's in all of that? You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you want. Let me know exactly what points you trying to make, and maybe I'll address that. Quinn Ewers wasn't talked about at all, and he's arguably on the same level, if not better than Shedeur. Quinn Ewers is one of those guys that people were high on for sure early, right? And for some reason, even when Manning came, he was still performing well with him being on his heels, right? Ewers, I'm not really sure why he dropped, because early on he was one of the names that I heard of folks talking about as being, one of the guys who could make a move like Jackson Dart did. Ewers was one of those names that I'm talking about. So that folks were talking about. But we definitely spoke about Jackson Dart moving up the boards, but it just didn't happen for Ewers, man. I don't know. That's, I can't necessarily disagree with you on that one, engineer. I don't know what happened with that, to be honest. The highest you've had you heard of Gabriel was 7th or 8th. Okay. The 7th or 8th rated QB, and no shade. Yeah, I mean, but look, that's what I'm saying. So 7th or 8th would put him, maybe a little bit lower than where he was taken, right? Because I think he was the 5th and Shedeur was the 6th. So, he would have been maybe, I would say, sixth round, 5th, 6th round, somewhere in there. So yeah, taking a little higher than probably what was projected for sure. And obviously Shedeur was taken lower than what he was projected. So I mean, and what sense did that make to take Gabriel and then turn around and take Shedeur? Like, did you thought Gabriel was better? Like that part didn't make too much sense to me, but it sounds like the owner stepped in, and this is what I was saying. Like, when Bong was on yesterday, he was talking about how they already have advertisements with Shedeur, and definitely that his jersey is gonna be selling out and all of that stuff, you know. And that's probably the case. And when you look at the big picture, it's still a business. And the Browns owners probably said, check this out. He's still on the board. This is our last pick. Take him. So we'll see. But again, I think he's in a cool situation. But all right. A couple of y'all, I don't know if y'all caught my question. I see there's more people in here. I'll ask the question again before I get out of here. I was asking, now that Deion Sanders. Um, and you know what? I'll play this because I don't think a lot of you guys saw this before. But this is kind of what when Deion Sanders was on $1 million worth of game, and shout out to them. This was kind of his take on going to the pros, like coaching in the pros.
And I'm seeing from the beginning of coaching my babies to the last walk in the end. You know how painful that is, man? To see that this is it.
Mm-hmm.
This may be it. And let me say this before y'all jump to it, because I know y'all gonna jump to it. The only way I would consider continuing,
And by continuing, I believe he's talking about coaching them in the pros.
is that I'm coaching my sons, plural, not singularly, plural. Or I wouldn't even think about it because I love Colorado. I love everything I do. And everybody, well, what would you do? Well, I have to think about it if I get to coach both of them.
Right.
I'm not following them, and it couldn't be like that unless I'm there prior.
Right.
But if I'm there prior, how can that happen? So it could really never happen.
Right.
But you got to think about it logically as a father. Shoot,
Yeah, to coach your boys.
I've always, that's all I know.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, now that his boys are gone, will he stay in Colorado? How long do you guys think he'll be in Colorado? And do you think if he makes a move, will his next move be jumping from the college level to the pros? So if I can get some takes on that before I get up out of here. I got engineers earlier, but I see some more folks have jumped in. So will Deion Sanders, do you guys think that he will stay at the college level? Or since his sons are now gone, and a lot of people were saying that it was just daddy ball. He was just coaching daddy ball, and he was just trying to get his sons through and all of that stuff. Now that they're gone, will he stay? And I think, again, just to add on to that this upcoming season will be the test for them. It will be the real test, the true test. And if Colorado ends up winning, and his three main guys are gone, then folks got to put some more respect on his name in terms of coaching. But you'll always have folks who will find something else to complain about, or say that he's not good at this or not good at that. That happens, But if they're winning, like Dizzle was saying earlier, we had Dizzle in the building. I don't know if he's still here, but Dizzle was saying, if you're winning, then that cures a lot of stuff. So if Deion Sanders takes Colorado into next season and they are a winning program, make another bowl game without Shedeur, what are we saying at that point? And then is he going to stay there, or is he going to jump to the pros? Okay. I mean, to be honest, they all want the drama and the doubt. No one has cared about Colorado like this before. Absolutely. Like, engineer, you keeping it real on here. Like, yeah, I mean, I cannot argue with that. Like, he's the reason why they're talking about it. And it was him, his sons, and Travis Hunter. And now they're gone. Now it's him, he's the big draw there. So I'm just saying, just saying, man. He's got it good at Colorado. The man's like the mayor there. He can do no wrong. He still has Juju as heir apparent, but nothing is guaranteed in life. Yeah, I agree, man. Like he's done He's done wonders in Colorado too. He said, my man said he like the mayor out there. Hey, they've boosted the economy out there. Trust and believe that Colorado team has worked wonders for that economy out there. So they have a lot to go out and high five him for. So he definitely has it good there. Do you think he'll stay though? That's what I'm saying. Like, or will he move on for a better school? One of the who folks would say is generally known as a more of a powerhouse or a contender, or will he? Could you see him in the pros and engineer like you said earlier? I don't think the Browns would want to see him in the building. I agree with that, but but man, let me just say I've been at this for an hour. I actually did a session before this, and I just got back on here to actually to talk about the Deion Sanders portion that I left out, which was whether he was going to leave or not. But I just want to reiterate, I'm one of three. So before I end this, if you haven't subscribed, man, go on and hit the subscribe button, the like button. I would appreciate it if y'all rock with us. There's three of us: DP, KP, and Bong. Two P's and a Bong. The next time you will see all three of us will likely be on Monday night. So we will try to put out a post to let you guys know that we're getting ready to go live. So we'll try to get better at scheduling stuff out. But look out for Monday and look out for shorts and stuff throughout the week and all of that stuff. Turn on the notifications because we do short videos on different topics that we haven't discussed in these lives, or stuff that pops up during the week and stuff. If y'all are basketball fans, I was talking about basketball earlier. My squad took a big L. The Clippers, we're out here in LA. So the Los Angeles Clippers got smacked by Denver tonight, so they lost. I don't know if y'all have NBA teams that that you're rooting for, but there was some good games today. I talked about those a little bit earlier too, but again, rock with us, man. Appreciate it. I'm about to get off of here. It's your boy DP, two P's in a bong, and I'm out, and I'll holler at y'all later.